Thomas is here, so it's just you and Thomas so far.
Okay. I saw him out there. So.
We need 4. Okay. It's official.
It's May. It's one of those busy months.
In June and July, and that's why we canceled. We started not having July meetings and December meetings because people are just busy, and then you don't get quorum and.
Pen?
Pen.
Yeah.
Good. I didn't need one.
What's that?
A pen.
Oh, I'm looking for a little accoutrements out here.
No, it's always, there's a couple of ladies that always do it, and then they're not here. So I was
I almost didn't bring my water. I was like, don't.
That's what I went into the bathroom to fill that up.
Oh, you got work on the go.
On the yeah.
Remember those kids in school used to like them on fire? Like, ugh.
That's probably me. I probably did. Because that's how you got most of the water. You had to put your mouth on that thing. But that was before COVID. That was before COVID.
You were that weird kid.
Oh, yeah. Of course I was.
That's why she worked in the government.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I can make sense of it all.
I can't take it. By the way, thank you so much. Do you have a message ready?
And then my phone broke, so I don't have any texts. I don't have any contacts. So if you sent me anything, I can't get my phone.
I got together with Mulkey and Fowler, and it went 100 times better than I even thought it would go.
Awesome.
So good. Steve, when I tried the whole time, I was like, but the best takeaway from that was he had said, when I was like, hey, I'm not taking significance of this is just something everybody is constantly talking about, and to me, they don't seem like big things, but I don't know you guys real quick. He's like, this is low-hanging fruit. This should be done, and it's really done.
Awesome.
But, so, yeah.
That's great.
So good. So I sent him a recap because he was like, hey, no. I'll send this all to you. I just want you to get your feet on the ground. So when I'm referencing something, you're not wondering like what tree is it talking about or blah, blah, blah. But pretty much.
Oh, so Houston is something. Sorry, I'm getting my phone repaired tomorrow, but I lost everything.
Did you drop it or something?
No, I think I don't know if there's like something going on with the phones, but it asked me to reset my passcode.
Okay. Oh.
So I did it.
Like scanning or something.
And then I've heard 3 other people have done it, and they're losing stuff.
Oh yeah, no, that's a malware.
Yeah, I mean, I would never. I'd be like, because like there's sometimes when I'll do mine, they'll say like, do you want to connect with something? I'm like, nope, I got it on my computer. I'll my computer.
But this was legitimate. It was your passcode is expired. You know, I get those every few months, and it says your passcode is expired.
For an iPhone?
Well, maybe it's the city's requirement.
Oh, that could be.
And so every once in a while I get these. So nothing out of the unusual. Reset it, and then my Teams has come back. My contact or my Outlook has come back, but no contacts, no texts.
No.
And that's happened to a couple other city phones.
You get back to me.
So anybody that's texted me, I've not ignored you. I just don't get it.
Gotcha.
Then my phone came back, and it had 10 voicemails from like 2024, 23.
Mine, there was something one time where mine was being written, and they had told me that there's like a different, what was it, a thing where like, it wasn't like block calls, but it was some other like a separate a voicemail box that my phone had with things, because I was getting some from like 5 years ago too, and I was like, what?
Yeah, so I think there's something going on with city phones because it's happening to other city employees.
Gotcha.
So
Thomas, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm Jack. I'm the designer of HDV.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Take information.
Where's your bike from?
Work over on Ashley Drive.
Okay.
And like in the Tampa Bay Times.
Okay. So I'm just walking through my car, I sweat.
Yeah, it's not far enough to sweat, but
yeah. Oh, it's always fun to sweat. My AC, when I was getting ready for, I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting today. There's a work I was going to be there. I wanted to see what that was all about. And when I was getting ready, I warmed my house. It was 80 degrees. I just got a service too, so I was like, You know what I mean? Yeah, I was like, kind of warm in here, you know what I mean? Just like,
The threshold's pretty high. You don't notice the
Did you check your temperature like you thought? Yeah, fever.
right? Well, no, because I was moving around, like I said, I'm always sweating. And so I checked everything outside, and then thank God they came and fixed it. It was like, your sniffles are here, we're starting to burn out. I'm like, yeah.
Just fix it.
Sure. Yeah, just,
No details, just fix it.
No.
So I hope people are here soon. If not, we can't hold the meeting.
Mhm.
But then I do kind of have a hard stop around 4:30, of course. Because I have daughter pickup.
Mhm. I get it. I
Thomas, you
understand.
understand.
I get it. I understand. I don't like pissing around, but I understand.
Right around 4:30.
I get it. I've been scooting along. You were listening, right?
Yeah, okay.
You didn't send these in the last email.
No, I know.
That phone again?
Can't live without it.
What I lost on my Word document.
I lost all my photos once.
Oh, that's the worst.
I like updated to the new iOS, and then my phone couldn't handle it. And
Yeah.
just never turned back on.
I still have one hard drive.
You think
years ago. And then when I tried to get it fixed, like, yeah, we can't go. If I had someone all kind of stuff, like, we'd find a way to get it on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technology, it's gonna go a lot, so it's like, I'm just gonna hold on to it someday. I still have it. It's like all my pictures when I was like 20.
Oh,
Some,
Yeah, I need back.
there's something.
there's gotta be. But when they said it, they're like, no, this happened probably, I don't even know, 10 plus years, probably 15 years ago.
Do you still have that phone?
No, it was a hard drive for my computer.
Oh.
I think they can just take.
Yeah.
It's so labor intensive.
Yeah.
It's not worth it to anyone.
I feel like it's like, where how you can put your VHS on like digital now, like that, years ago, it was like, oh, it's just a foreign concept. Now it's like, easy and breezy.
Take the software.
But also I'm like, I don't know what those structures for.
Tomas might be on it.
Tomas was definitely on there. It was Tomas in full throttle.
20s, scary.
Like 2021, yeah.
They just did a bus I read on fake IDs.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, how did they still bust?
Oh, I know. Totally.
Back then. Thankfully, my sister and I looked a lot alike. She's the older.
Too funny.
So yeah, I already me, I had my ID.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was so fortunate, I guess.
No, and she was so easygoing with me. She put up with me. She let me have her ID. And we're still very close.
Yeah, I think now it's harder for sure. I think they
Yeah,
had to check easier. Seems like.
because that was 30 years ago, so the ID.
Yeah, just like on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
No real ID or anything.
The RFP closes at the end of the month. That was last month for the commercial space.
Yeah, he reported on that in April. And that was
So the RFP closes at the end of the month, so at the end of April. So it's just still not.
That's what.
It's just like stagnant now, or what?
I don't know what the results are, because he said they were showing the space. So I think people who were thinking of responding to the RFP. And your associate probably still lost.
She didn't eat till 3:30, I'm kind of sitting
The time the meeting started, she went.
Yeah, that's what, I'm like, feel like, cool, I'm on my way now, I'm like, at 3:29, I'm like, I'd be done with that presentation.
Travis, here.
Yeah, everyone, that's why I wrote down everybody that said yes to me, and it was enough.
How many CAC members does Central Park have, at least right now?
7?
Okay.
But I guess we'll get it till 3:45. I think that's the rule, 15 minutes.
That's what it was in college.
Well, and that's what
You leave.
my boss said, am I just thinking college, or is it a 15-minute rule? If the professor doesn't show up, you can leave the class?
I was telling someone at my university it's 15 minutes, and they're like, 15? After 5 minutes, we would leave.
Oh, really? I never even knew there was a rule. I guess my professors all showed up.
Yeah.
What's on with Andrew? Andrew, is he still on or?
Well, like I said, I haven't heard. I assume he already.
But I'm saying that we officially need to do that, so is there enough for forum and things like that?
It doesn't affect quorum when you do the count either way.
Okay.
We need 4, whether we have 7 or we have 6 members. We always need 4
Okay.
for 51%.
Yeah.
So I'm like, until another application comes in for Central Park,
Okay.
I'm not pressured, but I kind of already considered
Got it.
him off.
And Matt is getting married this weekend.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, so he
Oh.
got married, or it's this weekend, or he's on his honeymoon or something, but he can't be here.
Didn't remember you said that.
Travis is 2 minutes away. And then who's the intern for mobility now?
David,
There he is. You keep looking Tanner.
he just got back from Portugal.
Oh, that's
Oh.
Hey, I'm
Nice
the
to
guy
have free
on the
time.
go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just sit and just get that call and sleep.
So we're kind of starting late, because Travis, is still a couple of minutes away. But we still have to
Who
intro.
keeps these people from being here on time?
Probably because I can't park in that spot that van's been sitting in for 2 months. I just had to go talk to Lisa's house about.
Oh, you mean here?
Hasn't moved in 2 months. Just keep an eye on that.
Affordable housing opportunity, living in a van.
I just know it's not moving.
Way out that on the river.
Yeah, oh, we could do that in Tampa.
Hey, sorry.
No, I don't.
What?
Okay, now we can start, but we still have to end at 4:30, okay?
Yes.
All right, are you recording
And
now?
Lorenzo will not be here. We
You are.
thought he was gonna be here, but he's really prepping for something that he needs to really
And that's
be
okay.
prepped for.
Okay.
I'm losing my stuff. Oh, so,
Because I think the other David is gonna be giving.
All right, we got only an hour, buddy. All right, so we got Central Park Community, CAC meeting, call to order. Public comment, do we have any public comment today? And that's not part of your presentation, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to action items, approval of last month's minutes.
Move.
Second. Hollis, move, motion to move, Travis seconds. You're as well, correct? Yep, do we have any opposed, all in favor, yay? All right, pass.
Thomas is serious.
Well, because I want to get this stuff done, sorry. No, you're fine. All right, so presentations, HCP and Associates CRA scope of work, Jack Smith, research analyst.
And then I did put his presentation in here so we can just follow along.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to go grab her by chance?
Yeah.
And I can just start.
Do you want this?
Yeah, why not? I'll just take it. All right, hello, everybody. It's a lively crowd here tonight. We from West Tampa last night.
And Jack is very funny, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously none of you know me. My name is Jack Smith. I'm the research analyst / communications manager at HTP Associates. We have been the communications firm of record for the Ybor City CRA since 2016, and since May, we are now the communications firm of record for the Tampa CRA. So a little bit of working around stuff. So we have the presentation in the packet. So a little bit about us, just as a firm. We are a food chain consulting firm that's located over in the Channel District. So we are over in the Port Tampa Bay building off the Channel side. We firm has been around since 1986 in some form, serving the Tampa Bay area. Those kind of government entities that are listed there are just some that we work with that we try to do similar work. So we do work for other CRAs in the state, Bartow over in Polk County. We also do other work for the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County, West Shore Alliance, and the Downtown Partnership. So we do a lot of different communications and research work in this realm. I'm also a member of the Ybor City CAC myself. I lived over there since October 24, thanks to Hurricane Helene. So on the next slide, our work with the Ybor City CRA is obviously very different before the statutory changes from the state. So we had done a variety of things that we unfortunately can no longer do in the kind of fund capacity. So that provides a comprehensive list. The one thing that I want to point out that kind of some of the more fun stuff, so district campaigns, if any of you remember like the Heart of Tampa campaigns, that HCP put that together as well as the More Ybor campaign. We also did kind of more formalized video series for this Ybor City CRA, including short form videos that we were looking to get started back up in the coming months, not just for just Tampa CRA as a whole, but also the individual community redevelopment areas is something we're looking forward to. That'll include stuff for Central Park at some point this year. Also just kind of some of the more general stuff, our PR communications work, especially social media. And I've got little cards here that I'll pass out at the end. Crisis communication and then research. So this really was focused on our Ybor City resident and worker study that we do every 2 years. Maybe something in the future that we can do CRA wide, but as of right now, we are a little bit limited. We have been doing the work for the Tampa CRA as a whole in some capacity. So the annual report that you may have received a copy of at last month's meeting, we helped put that together. The design, we work closely with staff on copy, image selection, things like that. So we helped put that together. We also did that in 2023. And also, you may be aware that Tampa CRA is on social media. We helped consolidate the old Ybor channels to Tampa CRA wide. You can pass these around now. They're little cards. So on the one side is just the handles on our platform. So we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. On the other side is the QR code. That'll take you to the CRA's homepage on the government website. At the bottom, there's a sign up for the news releases. At some point, we are going to be doing this year, coming hopefully before the June CRA board meeting, a quarterly newsletter. So this will have different redevelopment spotlights for all of the CRAs in Tampa, talk about other projects or programs and initiatives that are being offered by the CRA, and some other educational components. Because unfortunately, the more I've done this, I've been working with the CRA for about 2 years now, you realize how little some people in these communities actually know about what the CRA even is or what they do and the impact that it has. So trying to do some more of that stuff in digestible formats is something that we look forward to. In addition, as I already mentioned, continuing with the social media work, some of the short form content that's more geared towards social, and then kind of more occurring e-newsletters. So this would be something on a more kind of weekly basis, a little smaller bit that maybe CRA-wide news or district-specific news that we would share out. Then turning to the next slide, the first sharing information page, just to kind of give you an idea of what we are allowed to post on social media given the statutory changes. So that blue box is from the Florida Statute 163 that says we can only disseminate slum clearance and community redevelopment information. Very specific, but also kind of a little vague. So how we have been interpreting that and have been doing that now since that change, that list is relatively comprehensive. Now we can reshare information if another organization posts it. So if there is something here in the Central Park District that is being put on as a community thing that maybe is closing some road, we can reshare that information, but we cannot explicitly promote or obviously the CRA can no longer contribute any funds to that. And so if there is anything like that, because obviously we do look consistently, but also we are only a few people and we are tuned into varying degrees in all the communities. If there is something that you would like to share, what we ask is that you send that to Courtney first. She'll approve whether or not we can share it out, and then once that happens, she'll pass it along to us and we'll post it out as an original post, or we'll reshare it from whatever account you may want. That list right there is just like if you want us to share original content, we ask for that kind of information. So kind of the basics, the name of the meeting or the event, the date and time, any images or posters that are associated with that, and then any other pertinent information. Again, that may be, we're closing off these streets here and there, whatever that may be. And then really just the last one is, again, it's kind of just another area for that information for our social media channels and the news releases. The cards, I've got extras if you want to take them for any other community meetings that you may be a part of. That's the best way to kind of, you know, the way that these channels are going to improve and we're going to become more encompassing if people start following it and sharing information and content. It's kind of, you know, the more we get, the better that things will become in the coming months. So that's all I have. I'm very much more of a like questions. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, I'm here to answer.
You kind of answered two of them. One of them was going to say, what changes did since the legislation went through were you doing before that you now can't?
So I think very much the big thing is the promotional aspect of events. So in the past, if you really want to have a fun time, go look at the Facebook page and you'll see if like you look like pre-COVID to post-COVID, some of the changes on like the events in Ybor City, I think there was a much more focus on actually promoting that event and coming to it, whereas now it's very much, hey, there's a road closure associated with this event. Like, hey, we're shutting off a couple blocks here for 7th Avenue for Fiesta Day. So we're not exactly telling people, hey, go to this. We're informing the public, we're disseminating that information of a road closure is happening associated with this event.
So you are able to stop the road closure?
Yes, we're able. Yeah, so if there is a community event that is closing off like road, that's, you know, right, that's just disseminating information that falls within that context. I think that's the biggest one, but additionally, the district campaigns is another important one. You know, right, Tampa CRA is the brand, so it's not like that we're doing something necessarily for every district. Our work is through this communication work that we are going to be able to promote what is going on in each district. Obviously, there's a lot of good things. The Johnson Brother House will be something that's coming up here. That's a huge historic thing. So we want to be able to promote stuff like that. Those redevelopment efforts that are happening in and around Central Park are very important, especially as stuff comes online, the staff work, that's stuff that we can discuss because it's going to be transformational to the district. But again, we're not, you know, I think, but we're not going to, but we would not be able at this point to create like a specific campaign for Central Park or any other CRA. I think that's the biggest difference I noticed. I've been working at HCP since 2022, if I can believe it or not. So I'm originally from Ohio, so I was not here when the statutory changes happened. So I'm very much in this realm of like kind of looking at the past and saying, oh, if we can't do that, this is how we do it. So I hope that answers your question. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
I have two more questions.
Yep.
Okay, so I was gonna say, are we able to, when you said we can share things, are we able to just do some highlights of like what's kind of just like going on and, you know, just like fun things, just showing like, you know, it's a really nice day and this looks really pretty or something like that, and tagging that and you're able to reshare that? Or, you know, another big thing like I was asking Courtney is like a lot of the businesses that are in like Tampa Park Plaza, a lot of people don't really know about, like doing a highlight of that, like, you know, showing like the vegan creamery, you know what I mean? Like talking about how that's a, you know, locally owned business and doing like a highlight every, you know, or Meacham Farm, doing that like, you know, every month or every 2 weeks or something along those lines. If you're not able to do that, are we able to do that and send that and then you can reshare that?
And Corey, you can set that incorrect. I think in some ways, yes. You know, one of the ways that I think that we can leverage a little bit more is like with Instagram story, like reels and stories, like resharing on that. As long as we're tagged on that, we can reshare it. And because there's kind of, it's got a finite amount of time. Like it's still showing some of these efforts. You know, we want to show the economic vitality that has come to these areas. I know that obviously in Ybor, I see 7th Avenue, and you hope to see things get better, you know, and more businesses come in. And a lot of that is to the efforts of what's happening from the CRA. So, you know, when we can connect that to, hey, the CRA invested this money and these new businesses came in, that's stuff that we can make, that we can start to highlight. And I think that stuff is, I think we get a better rapport with all these different communities that we'll be able to better.
What do you get the most interaction from? Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn?
I would say as of right now, it's Instagram very easily. That's the one account that we see consistent growth in, and that's the one where we get the most engagement from.
Alright. And then with the CRA newsletter, is that a newsletter that's all CRAs, or does each CRA get their own newsletter?
As of right now, it is a CRA-wide newsletter, so our current idea is that each redevelopment area is going to get kind of like a development spotlight. And then there's going to be other things, so we may highlight grant or housing success stories. So I know in the next one, we're talking about some of the commercial grants, that are like some of the first ones that were awarded over in West Tampa. That doesn't mean that the next one, that there may not be something more to highlight in Central Park. So we're going to try to make sure that we spread the love on that. But more of that e-newsletter stuff is where I see the opportunity to do a little bit more district specific. So at some point, what I would like to get to personally is basically when you're signing up for the newsletter, you can check which districts you're interested in getting news from, which will then create those lists, and then we can share that information too.
And it's a digital newsletter?
Yeah, that would, so the quarterly newsletter is going to be print and digital, and then those like little, like the shorter form one, they're going to be on digital only.
I think it's the printed ones.
We will.
Yeah, we usually do a very small amount, so it's like 125 in the
Yeah.
past that we used to do, because we wanted to make sure the CRA board had a copy, and then we would put them in like the downtown office, CRA offices, we have 2, so we put them in there, but we would mail them to the community just because of the cost, and
Yeah.
also we do hyperlinks on the newsletter and send that,
Well, would we be able to like put them like here, like in these buildings, and have like one there, and then a QR code or something if you want, like this is what this is gonna look like in a shadow box or something?
I think that's what we want to get to. I think like because the 125 in the past was just for people.
yeah, just email.
Because I get the printed for the board and all that, but like, they know all this stuff.
Yeah.
You just said, the community doesn't know a lot, you know what I mean? So that's what we've been really trying to get
Yeah.
as a whole. And I know they do a newsletter right here, a monthly or something. They've been trying to get on that, because they put them at a couple stores or something, right?
Right, and now that goes through our property management group that's here,
Yep.
which is asset living.
Okay.
So, which is separate from the camp housing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they do a monthly newsletter, and I understand it's delivered to each individual here.
And so if we could get like a QR code on that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because I think that's who really needs to know more about this.
Yeah, no, and I think that is a good idea to kind of get around it. Like, well, obviously trying to think a little bit more, but I think having something like that where like the printed version in that shadow, I think that would be helpful, because then it gets people to recognize what it is, where it's coming from. The biggest thing, again, I think from our perspective, is really getting the brand out there, right? It's like taking that step back and figuring out where are these communities at? Because I recognize talking with businesses and neighbors and Ybor, not everybody's aware that they live in a CRA or, own a business in a CRA, and I'm sure that's true for every single one of them. And additionally, some people may be aware of that, but they're not sure what it does. And so that's the big thing, of just getting that brand out there and recognizing what's associated with it. So I think that's a great idea, and I think it's something that, as we're working in the next coming weeks finalizing it and thinking about our strategies to disseminate that we can definitely look into that.
And then something to consider if you're going down that road is that there are 2 buildings, the Ellen and the Reed. Those are our seniors.
Check where you're at, I'm out.
So a QR code might be like a visual puzzle for them.
You're right there with me, buddy.
Now, the
Right there with me.
tempo in the trio, that's families
Then
and
they're gonna be more.
seniors.
Then they're here for more.
So, just,
So having that, there's people that really like the paper copies.
Yes.
So
now, that's not to say that some of our seniors aren't totally up to speed and.
they have no problem tinkering on their phone and doing that, they sure can't do it through our.
Right.
No, but you're completely right, and that's one of the things I know that we recognize that every these communities are differently built, and that if we know that there's a larger senior population, that we want to make sure that maybe there's a little bit more physical copies in those buildings, and then the other ones maybe it's only one, and the QR code, they'll just naturally recognize it better.
And then, just for good dissemination of all sorts of information, I don't know what the protocol would be, but remember Navarra and Legacy, those are private, all market links. So those are not us, those are them. So, you may want to reach out to those people and see how can we get this information throughout your buildings, because I'm sure everybody over there is QR code exceptional. They didn't understand probably things about Instagram. I have to check with 36-year-old daughter regarding his plans. But, I think the people living in Navarre and Legacy are a little different, generational. So anything that we might do through asset living, which is our 4 buildings, that would be a different resource and different contact than anything you might want to do through Navarre and or Legacy, which are actually under the same parent holding company, but they're 2 different entities. So what you do in one, you would have to physically redo in the other. I don't know that they share much of information.
Does Asset Living do property management for any other buildings that are within any CRAs?
Oh, I'm sure they do. Yeah, they're pretty large.
So that, once they get on board, they can, probably find out a way to make it easy and simple as well. Do they do the ones around West Tampa, over on Boulevard and?
They do about 3/4 of those buildings in West River.
3/4.
A couple of those buildings were that partnership with Related Urban out of Miami. They have their property management company in about 2 or 3 of those towers. And Lorenzo could tell us which towers those are.
How many towers are there total?
Right now, there's all Boulevard, that's 4 towers, Canopy has 3, the 4th one almost done. Then there's now the one building over there that is all senior, which is the Renaissance, that's also asset living. So whenever you're talking to Dawn Walter, or whomever with asset, who's the regional lady for asset living.
Why is it there's only 2 though, if they're not?
2
buildings that they don't handle?
That asset living doesn't have.
Correct.
Part of our agreement with Related Urban, who's our development partner on some of the towers. So as part of the deal we have with them is they want to be used with their property management people. So different, so it's a little mixed bag of nuts.
That sounds like you guys are on the right track. Sounds like, very, very good.
Yeah, and I will say, we want to, this first go around, this is the time for us to maybe test some stuff out. I don't think nothing's ever perfect the first time. And I think that as we continue on, I know we're looking to do one kind of later in the summer as well, and we're hoping that maybe this first go around is going to be a good test. This is one of the things I want to make just clear to everybody here. I know it's only four of you here on the CAC. One of the biggest things that I think that it's very important is like the community engagement, the focus, we work with the CRA, we want to make sure that, you guys feel heard and represented through this work. And so as we get more familiar, we'll make sure that, things, you feel equitable in this process. Again, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to happen overnight. I want to make, things take time, and I want to make sure that this is done right, for everyone's sake. These communities are very unique and they're all special in their own way. That's why I chose to live in Ybor personally after Helene. Because I loved seeing what the CRA was doing in the communities, and I know that extends to all the other CRAs. So,
thanks so much.
Perfect.
And I'll just say that HCP has almost finished their 5-year contract with Ybor specifically. Okay. And that's how I worked with HCP when I was the Ybor CRA manager. So we worked several years with HCP, and then a council member was so impressed with the annual report, which I not only have to bring that to the next meeting, but they were so impressed, the council member, with how well the annual report looked, that asked for us to extend a contract for them to cover all of the CRAs, and because they were only Ybor. So now we have them covering it. So this is new.
Yeah.
So this is brand new of us, covering all the CRAs, not just one specifically, and pushing that branding out. So like he said, we're going to work through the kinks and how we make sure everyone's getting the equal love now that we're covering all of the 8 CRAs. So they do well, and that's why the council member really wanted to engage him for a wider.
Do they have any? Are we going to do like we used to do the chair meetings quarterly? When we still get together.
Yeah.
Because that'd be a great opportunity for that, because then Ybor can talk. Because I'm like, a lot of stuff you're talking about is stuff that we're talking about. But again, the examples are good. Ybor chair can come in and talk about the things that they're doing and the things that work for them. We could have one for us, and then we can talk about the things that maybe West Tampa would, you know what I mean? So we could all kind of get together and talk a little bit more about, because East Tampa and Channelside could not be further apart from demographic and needs. You know what I mean? So putting the things in that Channelside newsletter, they're going to you know, I mean, that's not gonna affect East Tampa, West Tampa, and Tampa Heights, and here maybe a little bit more, but we're even in the part where there's so much new construction that we're mainly more on that channel side, downtown side as well. So being able to figure out things that are going to work good for our individual communities.
Yeah, and that makes sense. We used to have these quarterly chair meetings so that everyone could kind of share information between the districts, where we were a little bit more separate. And now with the reorganization that's happened over the last couple of years, you know, we all equally have the same commercial type grants, the same residential grants, and we weren't like that before the reorganization. So it would probably make a lot more sense to resurrect those meetings, to do sharing of information, because now we're a little bit all more aligned.
Okay. So, you asked for any budget? And your staff reports 26 budget, draft budget.
Yeah, so it's just, you guys have seen this before.
Nothing's changed.
No. So everything is still in their fiscal year 26 orange column as how I'm balancing the budget for the 1.4 million that we anticipate. And we haven't gotten our anticipated tax revenue yet. So by the end of the month, we should.
This month?
Yeah, all of them. So I kept it flat, as you can see. Fiscal year 25 was 1.4. We actually kept it at 1.4, even though we anticipate an increase. So we're hoping that by the end of this month, we'll know how much more that creeped up. But we were being a little conservative and only budgeted what we received in 25. So hopefully with that, that'll jump up and we can put money into any of the line items that any one of the line items that you prefer. But the budget's good.
Yeah, I think Dee and I talked a little bit too, just because having done a little bit more research on some of the homes that I thought were owner-occupied that are not owner-occupied if they're on boundaries. I don't know that we need to allocate as much money for that program because they're investor homes, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So we're not going to really be able to use that. So I feel like there's other things that we can utilize that money, you know, kind of put it from one bucket to the other. Because there's only maybe a handful, and we only have a handful of houses, residential houses from the boundaries anyway. And of that 10, like 5 were new builds, and like maybe like 1 or 2 is owner-occupied, and they're pretty piece of shit. And like, you know what I mean? So there was one that I thought was going to be a really good candidate, and it was purchased a few years ago by an investor that owns a lot of property within our boundaries.
Okay, yeah, then the affordable housing, you're talking the affordable housing money. Those have to just stay within those.
No, owner-occupied rehab program, like, you know what I mean? Like anything else, if they had, you know, they needed money for, you know, the air conditioner or a new roof, or, you know, a grant for that, put that there, so.
Yeah, B Parks oversees all the affordable housing monies, but yeah, you can reallocate that affordable housing money within the established programs.
You guys all look over those and kind of see if there's anything you think would be a better place to put that, because I feel like it's like $100,000, right? Or is it more than that? 400 that's in there now, and that's right. Maybe keep 100 in there or something, and then take the other 3, because there probably is something, you know what I mean, someone out there that could use that, but we have so much commercial space in here, and so many apartments and things along those lines, where we're not going to have, you know, West Tampa, East Tampa, they have a lot of the older homes that need, you know, that. So if there's anything that you guys see where you feel that might be a better option to put that, if we're 400,000, I mean, you can keep 100 in there, is just saving money.
And I would say we talked to B about that, because like what you're saying, we did in the jail district and in downtown, that we thought that the monies were better used in unit creation and unit conversion. So if there were developments already existing, we could convert that unit to an affordable housing unit and lock it in as an affordable unit for 50 years. So we did that just in this last CRA board meeting. We allocated money out from things that we thought we wouldn't be able to use in those, you know, certain monies we wouldn't be able to use in some of the programs, and put a majority of it in the unit creation and conversion. So that's possible. We just did it.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I saw in there that I thought we were going in a different direction. look into this one too. And if you guys see anything in there, I can speak up if there's something that you feel like, same situation, maybe we thought it was gonna be good, now it's not really going to be utilized, or maybe something that is already here that we don't need to particularly focus the budget on.
What was the fiscal year 25, the transportation and mobility
So
budget? What was that?
that is an anticipated application that we expect to come in from HART, that would improve the bus stops. So they had provided a breakdown per CRA of how many bus stops were in those CRAs and which ones are going to be converted or enhanced to the nicer bus stops that you see that offer more shade for the riders. So they had anticipated spending $100,000 or requesting $100,000 for those bus stop upgrades. So the application's in motion, but it hasn't been submitted officially yet.
What was professional services? It was 3,800.
That's, for instance, like a study. Like if we decided that there was a study that needed to be done, it's not a significant amount of money,
No.
but if there were a study or,
Like what Trent did on a lower level?
if we hire a contractor to do something for us, but, so, yeah, kind of like a Trent thing, USF who did our CRP, something along those lines.
Yeah, because like I said, we've been waiting for a long time to get any money. Now that we have something, it's like we want to make sure we do it, spend it correct. Where do we feel like the most increase is going to come from? Yeah, based off of this last year.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't even forecasted what, as far as like what whoever's got a CO, certificate. Yeah, we haven't, we just kind of generally think it's gonna be a 5% increase.
Okay.
But we didn't have, for instance, Cham District had 0 increase last year.
Okay.
So that's why we budgeted at a flat amount with no increase, hoping for the best this year.
Sure.
So I don't know, I don't figure out all those, who received a certificate on the occupancy and then on the tax rolls yet. We just wait for the property appraiser's information to come in.
Got it.
If there is an increase, will it be allocated like evenly or like as it is now?
Whatever increase, typically what I do with the budget analyst is put it in the neighborhood infrastructure or neighborhood improvement, because that one isn't assigned to anything in particular. And so anything that happens throughout the year, neighborhood, where is it? Under 6, numeral 6. So neighborhood infrastructure and improvements. There's 1 million there now. I did the 681 also in the fiscal year 26 column. I didn't have anything necessarily to assign it to, but I always kind of think of it as the opportunity line item. So those monies aren't assigned to anything in particular.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and so that way if an opportunity happens and we neighborhood infrastructure or neighborhood improvements, we
Really
have,
accessible.
that amount, and then whatever increase we find out about by the end of the month, those monies will go there too.
Okay. Any questions on those? You?
I'm good.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to the infrastructure capital projects.
Yeah, and those are always just provided in your packet for review, and questions to me if you have any.
So we're going to see the planning commission, that's going to be next month, and they're just doing the exact same presentations they did for.
Well, so we anticipate, we know changes are going to be coming from the planning commission. So the CRPs will be presented to the planning commission at a public hearing on June 9th. And then whatever planning commission suggests or recommends or pretty much tells us has to be changed within each of the CRPs, then we have to edit it, go back to the CRA board to ask for approval, because they've already approved it to submit it to the planning commission. Once the planning commission reviews it, then we make those adjustments and edits, comes back to the CRA board so we can inform them and be transparent of what the planning commission told us to change. And then they approve it, and then it goes on to city council for approval. So,
with the planning commission, when they present in front of them, where do they do that?
what?
Where do they present for the planning commission?
It's at the city county building,
Where is it?
418.
Oh, no, over across the street.
Yeah, so it's on 418. So it's all of the staff will be there, CRA staff. Because
So they'll already know because they're gonna be there, and they just have to present them. They'll know what the
they
changes
have,
are
yeah,
gonna
they
be.
have to put it in front of the planning commission board
Right, but the
of
CRA
what
will be
the
there.
staff recommendation is for changes.
Someone will be surprised when they present.
We already know.
They already know.
Yeah, and they're not, incredible changes, it's
Like,
just,
what would they be?
well, they were looking for consistency, from page, making sure everything was consistent, that if something's referenced at the beginning of the plan, it's the same reference at the back of the plan. It goes with,
Not like taking a bunch of stuff out and stuff, it's just making sure it reads the way they want it to read.
yeah, it's not gonna be anything like significant, that you can't do that. It's not impeding us in any way, it's just looking for consistency.
Gotcha.
And then, so yeah, the spreadsheets are there for you in the packets. And then as far as new business, Chair Murphy sent me a list of things for follow-up, and so I'm starting to reach out to get those things
Let me know
addressed.
your thoughts on these things are here, let me know your thoughts on it, what you think that those are things you agree with, or those are things that you think, yay or nay, or in general. There are just some different things that I thought about. I got a video of the K Street, those townhomes that are behind you. They're 3 stories, and they're going for high 7s, low 8s, and they've got, I think, a handful of them already sold. The first phase, I think, is 20. They're starting phase 2, which is gonna be another 20, so there's 40. I think that there's 2, so I think there's gonna be like 80 of them.
I got them packed in.
80. Oh, you can't, you got a truck like you or something like that?
The good news is the land maintenance contract won't be much. Because
Yeah.
they'll be able to yards like 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they got a nice downtown view and whatnot.
So they're great, I mean,
But
it's just impressive that they're selling townhomes in there for $78,000. I mean, just,
We'll talk to some of them. Yeah, well,
If I could do that.
I come to the farm and decide to do the neighborhood.
yeah, absolutely.
well, and then, right on 7th, literally across the street from the job training center, is, I forget whether it was the same developer for Legacy or for Navarro, but whoever that development organization is putting that in. And I think that's gonna be like about 120, those are all gonna be market rate apartments.
Apartments are okay.
So that whole neighborhood is changing at light speed.
Did you guys have a lot of mobility infrastructure things that you had come up when you built all of these buildings? Like the roads and all of that, were they in bad shape and that took a long time, or?
And we did everything we redid everything from the dirt up.
How long did that take?
Couple of years.
Yeah, just doing that, just to get that level.
Just infrastructure. Well, then we have a bunch of, kind of, back at that time, which was pretty high-tech stuff, since we went, in other words, there's no traditional HVAC at all in Encore. It's all the chiller plant, so that all has special piping underground.
Sure.
Kind of a little unique thing back then. That was an old NSP2 grant, which was tied to Buy American. However, what's called thermocline pipe is only made in Germany. It took us 90 days to get a waiver from HUD just to use that piping, which isn't made anywhere else in the world. As opposed to like, hey, this is the only place it's made, okay, fine, go get it. It's like, we had to do reams of reports just on that. But yeah, it was a long process.
What is the update on Pearson Street opening to Central Avenue?
So if you're going north on Nebraska and Harrison's going to tee into it, if you turn left on Harrison, you're going to go west. It stops at like Tolliver, I think. It like curves around, and you can see where the street used to be, and it's where the overpass is. If you were to go down Central, you can go under the overpass from like 7, but there's a portion where it stops. The road stops. I don't know why they did that back in the 80s or whatever they did. They just blocked that portion, And so now they're reopening that. So you'll be able to go from Nebraska, take a left on Harrison, and go all the way down to Central. If you cruise down by there, it's all torn up. You know where Mobley Park homes are, the apartments? It's right next to that, where the Bro Bowl is, the skate park.
Yeah.
Right into that overpass. If you look to the east, that's all Harrison Street, but it's always been blocked off.
Okay.
So I wanted to just have DOT come in and talk to us a little bit about why they decided after all these years to do that, how that's going to affect transportation down there, especially with a lot of houses people sleep under it, all of that, you know, if that's going to be any issue for them, if they've noticed that, and just kind of generally get an idea of what's going on with that timeline. It's going to be 4 lanes, 2 lanes, you know, just things like that. Anything that you got questions on or agree or disagree with?
I think most of it sounds great.
Yeah, anything you want to add to that? Any kind of update stuff that you guys are wondering about?
I mean, you have Gasworks coming in hot down on Nuclear Parkway. I think they topped out their I think it's W2, not lighting the one next to it. I think that's going to open. They said next summer, 2026.
Okay.
So I think, when all that's coming in, I think having like a good, like you mentioned, crossing like Nebraska, getting people from Nebraska into Encore. I think it's also like allowing people from like Encore to get to Gasworks area, because I know there's going to be a lot of development over there. So it's like right now to cross Nebraska, it's the nearest crosswalk is, if you miss the one at Nuclear Parkway, you got to go north to some Scott Street, and that whole, there's no crossings at all.
Yeah.
Or otherwise you got to walk all the way around. So I think kind of looking towards the future of like connecting those two, because that's going to be a great development. There's going to have a lot of, Daryl Shaw is doing great work, and they're going to connect that down to the Summit Greenway as well. Give me a little connection, so like having access to that for people here to get, because that will get you all the way down to Water Street, outside, Riverwalk, whatever. So I think that's like on the horizon of kind of connecting those two neighborhoods. Make sure it's not like Nebraska just cut off.
Yeah,
those two.
Yeah.
Coming developments. So.
Because I think that Harrison's going to be good, because that's going to get Tampa Heights into here as well and over and around as well. Because you would have to normally go through Central and again go into those overpasses. And there was a couple dozen people that were hanging out over there.
Yeah, I tried to go down through there, get like Sprouts.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah. So I wonder if that'll.
Yeah, it's closed down. Right?
It's completely closed down though. Yeah. Have they ever done like anything? I don't know. DOT. Did they ever have anything where they put any kind of lighting under those overpasses?
And,
I know there is on, like if you go under a Florida or Tampa, under 225.
Because that's going to be a big thing, for people, because they're going to look, they're going to go, oh God, there's that creepy overpass, all the homeless people, all look right down there, no, that's not the park area. And it's like, no, we don't want them to be like, oh, don't go down that street, you know what I mean? And it stops. Yes, and you want to have that continuous path. You want to feel comfortable walking from one neighborhood to the other. Now, when I didn't get a chance to call the church.
which church?
They're plans.
Mount Salem or whatever it is for release. Up there by like Slim's, that church right up there up in Nebraska. And I wanted to just inquire just kind of like that. There's so many churches within our boundaries that I think, for what could have been thousands of people that were in their congregation, there's probably 100 that left, you know what I mean? So there's such huge parcels of land and buildings that are just sitting there within our boundaries. So I just always want to be proactive on something like that. And I don't know if they have plans for it but it's just like a lot of the commercial space too has been sitting forever and ever, probably waiting for something across the street to happen. how that's happening, we should kind of get in with them. Do we have any, your contact with the, school board? Have them come in and talk about the Greco building?
Yes, so,
I get Greco in here quicker than I get somebody from there in there.
so yeah, I have a name, Cedric, the news hearing director, he used to be an educator.
Mhm.
So he knows people
Okay.
within the system, so, I think it was actually either Scott Warren.
Yeah, actually, it's Warren Brooks, he goes by
Warren.
Scott.
Scott, okay.
Yeah.
So Cedric reached out and, because, Warren, Scott,
Scott, you go,
I didn't hear back from him. So,
he's been awful quiet the last, ever, and it's probably just absolutely coincidence. But right about the time Van Ayers took the reins, those people that I talked freely with don't talk so freely anymore.
okay.
I don't know if Van said, we have channels for that, we have protocols for that, which is certainly his purview to do, or whatever, because Scott used to be super reachable. And Chris Farkas used to be reasonably reachable. And,
Yeah, so I have another name, so I was gonna reach out, because I'm starting to follow up on these items.
Scott's got a very long title, but basically Scott's or Warren, he's in charge of adult education, 18 years and older. And he reports to Chris Farkas. Chris Farkas is the COO of the entire Hillsborough County Public Schools. So Chris is definitely a power broker, and Scott is also. And they were both principals, they both grew up together in a school system for the last 25, 30 years. They're personally, good friends. But there's been a lot of, I think, ever since they entered, and this is purely subjective on my part, so it's not to be relied on as fact at all, not even any good rumor. But I think that maybe there was some restructuring of responsibilities, not necessarily changes of people, but just like, here's the way we do that from now on.
Yeah.
Because they seem to have brought in 3 or 4 other people, that those positions didn't even exist. And so it's a little bit more of a maze to work your way through.
Okay, well, it seems like Cedric has navigated that for me, so I've already started to follow up on these items.
Is there anything you have, any update on any of these?
Well, the Captain College did say he was going to talk to his extra duty officer at Saunders Library, just to put a little bit more eyes and focus on just what's happening around the outside of the library. So he was already going to take action on reaching out to the extra duty officer at the library. I did get a response on the Harrison Street question, but there was a little confusion because maybe the question I didn't ask. I'll need to get more clarification again from you on how to ask that question, because she thought all those were local roads, not anything to do with FDOT. So.
Well, is that mobility then that would come in and talk about that, not FDOT?
I'm thinking that it must.
But I think it kind of connects to because of the overpass.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it's actually city mobility, if those are all local roads and it has nothing to do with FDOT.
But FDOT would be the ones that need to come in to let us know what they're going to do about, getting the TPD, whatever, with all the houses folks that are under the overpasses and whatnot.
Yeah, so they do have a clean team, and so I just got this, I started firing out emails on these, and I just need to collect the stuff that I've gotten back, so I can.
Yeah, if you guys want to add on to any of those things and send those to Courtney too, there's starting points, you know what I mean? If there's anything that you want additional information on, send to her, and then she can kind of get some more clarity.
Yeah, so I already started sending out emails on this stuff, I just don't have it nicely put together to deliver it yet.
Yeah, because the fairness of district, there was, what was it that they just try to put an application in for a grant or something?
Yes, so they did come in for a pre-consultation for a grant, but there was some work that they still have to do that probably has them out a year out. So I have that information as well, but I don't have it nicely presentable.
Yeah.
But I have an update on that,
Yeah.
because we only know what's going on by way of them applying for the grant application.
Okay.
So, I can give you an update.
Is there interest in the church building itself, or what I think was maybe the manse at one time, which they're kind of rebuilding that?
The church building, they were doing something with the church. Maybe trying to put a couple of residential, 1 or 2 residential in there, but,
Parking aspect is gonna be a huge issue.
and that's another thing with parking. But anyway, I'm following up on, so I'll be able to
Okay.
give a little bit better, like thorough
Sure.
report of each item.
Cool.
Yeah, just so you'll know, so it's public information, I should write out the letter, but, yeah, they were looking for parking
Okay.
because basically the church has its physical footprint, and that's pretty much it.
Wow.
There is
Yeah.
no other dirt there.
And that
So
was
they
our
approached-
question after the pre-consultation, is how was the parking gonna get resolved?
They approached us for parking to see if we would like cut a little piece out of the farm and lease it to them. And, we replied that we were not interested in that.
Does school board own the dirt on their lot, or you guys?
Yeah. No, the school board owns it, we lease it from the school board,
That's what it is, okay, gotcha.
and the farm leases it from
Got it,
us.
got it.
So we would have to be the first person
Did
to,
you do a land swap for that?
yes,
Would you swap them?
the old Meacham School sat right inside of here.
And, oh, yeah, got it.
And it's a good developer, he didn't control all the dirt,
I got
so
it.
we swapped them that big piece in relation to what we got,
What was there?
what was where.
Where the farm's at now?
That was our old, back in the days of, I remind
Great
me,
impression.
yeah, no, after that, when the old public housing units were here.
Is that part?
Just working here. When Old Central Park Village was here, that 2 acres were the senior buildings of Central Park.
Got it.
So then we tore it all down, and then we said, you know, since they had each school in here, we said, hey, give us that, I think it was about a third of an acre,
Sure,
maybe half
right.
max. You know, we'll use 2 acres for that little piece there.
Gotcha.
So,
You're all good? You're good? I do want to see if there's something that we can do with, the historic markers. I'm gonna do that part level. But getting some things you guys are talking about, too, because when we went to Rotary Community, it was tied. That's right. And, you know, and just something that we can, you know,
There's talks where we had a big group out, CEO, CAK, and the school district, Van Anderson's there.
Are we still?
And CAK
I was
offers
just watching the times for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
informational on there, but
Yeah,
it's
marker.
huge thing, look inside the farm.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's gonna be awesome.
And I thought, first of all, those things.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was.
Okay, something like that. Yeah, I think it's good. It shows it. Yeah, all right, we can adjourn the meeting, we're good. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Thank you for your
Okay.
presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Travis, are you gonna be around for?
Yeah, no, for sure, that's fine. We don't have
I
to-
can be around for.
Yeah, but I'll look at the agenda.
Like all 5
Appointment I send you is because I know.
But I
it's about time. I'll have you on the agenda.
Okay, that's perfect.
Or less than
If
5.
we do everything, I'll take it for you, but channel this or not.
Okay.
You can write on the big handle.
Oh,
Get my basket. Yeah.
No trouble, man. I've been at those meetings. So.
I just got recorded.
Any pound weight limit.
Oh, you gonna do Zoom call?
No, I'm stopping the recording because I'm saying stuff that I shouldn't.
And then Alexa is-